Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the thick of it with the Indian women's cricket team. It's a critical moment in their World Cup campaign. We're setting the scene in Visakhapatnam. It's late Friday evening, maybe around 5:30 p.m., October 11th. And there's this heavy atmosphere, less than 24 hours after that. Well, devastating loss to South Africa.
Yeah, devastating is the right word. A real nail-biter.
Totally. Snatched by just 3 wickets. And India had them struggling, too. 81 for 5 at one point. It felt like it was in the bag.
It really did. And that loss, it wasn't just about the points table, was it? It threw a huge spotlight onto their core strategy.
Exactly. Which brings us to the big question for this deep dive. They're facing the reigning champs, Australia, this Sunday. And the whole conversation now is about their bowling philosophy. Is it actually fit for purpose against the best? Or, well, is it time for a rethink?
And it's crucial to understand this isn't some accidental strategy they've stumbled into. It's been a very deliberate choice. Pretty much since the start of 2024, they've gone all in on this structure. 5 specialist bowlers. That's the core.
Right.
And the trade-off is they back that up with really deep batting, relying on all-rounders to, chip in with overs, making sure they have batters down to number 8, sometimes even 9. Versatility and depth. That's the idea.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the immediate aftermath, the scene at practice, because you can really see that tension playing out. It's only 20 hours after that tough loss, and they're back out there for an optional session.
Optional, but the key players are there, and the intensity is palpable.
You mentioned seeing skipper Harmanpreet Kaur and head coach Amal Mozumdar. What was that interaction like?
Well, they were locked in this really focused chat right by the dugout. Went on for, I'd say, over 20 minutes. Lots of sharp hand gestures.
Gestures.
Like they were definitely dissecting technique. Looked like footwork, maybe stance adjustments. It wasn't just a general keep your chin up talk. It felt very technical, very specific about what went wrong, perhaps in those middle overs against South Africa.
Interesting. And then you look at the nets.
Yeah, the nets are where you see the potential solutions, right? You got Smriti Mandhana, Harmanpreet herself facing throws.
But the focus is really on the bowlers cycling through.
Exactly. You've got Radha Yadav, Amanjot Kaur, Renuka Singh Thakur, Arundhati Reddy, all getting a run. And watching them, you could practically see the coaches weighing the options for Sunday. Which of these bowlers gets the nod? And crucially, how many specialist bowlers do they actually go with?
It's a huge decision. Now, this 5-bowler strategy, it hasn't been a total failure, has it? There's a reason they've stuck with it.
Oh, absolutely not. To be fair, it's delivered results overall.
Yeah.
If you crunch the numbers since the start of 2024, they've got a pretty solid record. 20 wins out of 30 matches played.
20 out of 30. Okay, that sounds good.
Strong win percentage, yeah.
But I guess the question is, where are those wins coming from? We know they've been really dominant against certain teams, maybe the slightly lower-ranked ones.
That's the crucial context. They've been, well, almost unbeatable against teams like Ireland, West Indies, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. I think it's 10 wins from 11 games against that group since early 2024.
Right, so the structure works well there?
It does, and you even had the bowling coach, Avishkar Salvi, publicly backing it not too long ago. He emphasized having 5 solid options, plus, others capable of taking wickets, not just containing runs.
Okay, but that's where the story takes a turn, isn't it, when we separate out the opponents? What happens when this blueprint hits the wall against the elite teams?
The Cinna Nations. That's the term we often use, right?
That's
South
right.
Africa, England, New Zealand, and the big one coming up, Australia.
And these are teams playing in conditions, often pitches, that really favor seam, swing, consistent pace. It's a different challenge entirely.
Completely different. And when you isolate the results against just those Cinna teams, the picture changes dramatically. Well, in 19 matches against those 4 nations, India's actually lost 9 times. And the really worrying stat, especially looking ahead to Sunday, 6 of those 9 losses were against Australia.
Wow. 6 losses to Australia specifically. So this isn't just a potential problem, it's a documented weakness against their very next opponent.
Exactly. And what's striking is how rigidly they've stuck to the plan, even in those tougher games. Out of those 19 Senna matches, they used the 5-bowler formula in 16 of them.
16 out of 19, so they really doubled down on it.
They did, which puts immense pressure on those, shall we say, part-time or all-rounder bowling options to fill the gaps. And that's where the vulnerability really shows up in the stats.
Okay, let's break that down, because this feels like the core issue. What do the numbers say about those extra overs bowled by the all-rounders in those Sunny games?
Right, so in those 19 matches, the all-rounders ended up bowling 33 overs between them. Not a huge amount, but significant. And the return, Just 2 wickets.
2 wickets in 33 overs.
Yeah. And worse, the economy rate was pretty high, 6.3 runs per over.
6.3. Ouch. That's leaking runs in crucial phases.
It really is. Now, compare that to the Senna teams themselves. When their part-timers bowled in those same matches, they took 4 wickets in fewer overs, about 23.5 overs.
Yep.
And crucially, their economy rate was much tighter, 5.55 runs per over.
Right. Let me just pause on that. So India's part-timers going at 6.3, the opposition's at 5.55. That difference, nearly 0.8 runs per over. It might sound small, but over, say, 10 overs in a chase.
It's massive. That's an extra 8 runs gifted to the opposition, roughly. It just releases all the pressure the main bowlers might have built up. It's a clear tactical disadvantage against the best sides. The batting depth they rely on isn't quite covering for this bowling gap when it matters most.
But hang on, if they know this, or at least the stats suggest it, why stick so rigidly to the 5-bowler plan? You mentioned they've tried out new bowlers.
That's the paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
Since 2023, they've given debuts to something like 17 new bowlers or bowling all-rounders and ODIs. So the talent search is definitely active. They are looking for answers.
But they don't deploy them.
It seems not in a way that changes the core 5 specialist structure. It feels like there's a reluctance to actually commit to that 6th bowler, even if they identify potential options. It's puzzling.
And that rigidity, that reluctance maybe cost them just the other night against South Africa.
You could definitely argue that. It's the perfect, most recent example of this strategy under pressure. South Africa, remember, struggled against India in a bilateral series not long ago.
Yeah, India had their number then.
But this time, South Africa found a way. They absorbed the pressure after that early wobble, 81 for 5, as you said, and then counterattacked with real precision.
And Nadine de Klerk was the key, wasn't she?
Absolutely sensational innings, unbeaten 84 from just 54 balls. She just took the game away and completely dismantled India's attack in that crucial phase, exploiting that 5th, 6th bowler vulnerability.
Making India's total of 251 look inadequate, even though Richa Ghosh played brilliantly for her 94.
Exactly. A competitive total, undone. And it's worth noting, South Africa's main bowlers did deliver. Chloe Tryon took 3 wickets, Merzan Kapp took 2. They provided the control India lacked from their full quota.
So let's bring this right back to the World Cup context. The pressure is immense now. Australia on Sunday, then England and New Zealand, still to come in this phase.
The margin for error is basically gone. To realistically stay in the hunt for the semifinals, you'd think they need to win at least 2 of these next 3 massive games.
Which puts those conversations between Harmanpreet and Muzumdar into sharp focus. What's the debate? Do they look at the overall record, the 20 wins, and say, it's working okay? Or do they finally address this recurring issue against the top tier?
That's the dilemma. Is 9 losses in 19 against Senna teams competitive enough to stick with the plan? Or is the pattern, especially how they lost to South Africa and the previous losses to Australia, too glaring to ignore now?
And thinking back to that practice session winding down late into the evening, were there any clues about which way they might be leaning?
Well, you definitely saw players pushing their case. Arundhati Reddy and Harmanpreet Kaur, for instance, staying late for extra drills. That signals intent. They want in.
Putting their hands up.
Exactly. But perhaps the biggest potential signal is the talk around Renuka Singh Thakur possibly returning for the Australia game.
Renuka, the swing specialist. That would be a significant inclusion.
It really would. Bringing her in likely means committing to 6 genuine bowling threats. It's a move towards more firepower, more specialized options, blending her experience back into the mix.
Because breaking that 5-bowler mold has been rare, right? Especially against these teams.
Extremely rare. In those 19 Senna games we talked about, they only went with more than 5 specialists 3 times. And usually that was forced by injuries or specific conditions, like in New Chandigarh, New Delhi, or Perth. It wasn't typically a proactive strategic shift.
So this feels different. This feels like a genuine choice point.
It absolutely is. Harmanpreet and Muzumdar are staring at a massive decision. Tweak the strategy now, reacting to the evidence against the elite teams. Or do they hold their nerve, trust the template that's got them 20 wins overall, and hope it holds up?
It's high stakes. Because in a World Cup, there's no time for, we'll figure it out next time.
None at all. The knockout feel starts now. It boils down to a trade-off, doesn't it? Do you sacrifice a bit of that deep batting lineup to guarantee you have a 6th bowler who can hold their own and not bleed runs, especially in those middle overs? Is it batting security versus bowling control?
Wow, it really sets up Sunday's clash with Australia perfectly. A massive tactical decision hanging over the Indian team. Are they betting on depth, or are they finally shifting towards density in their bowling attack?
It's fascinating. You can feel the plot thickening there in Visakhapatnam.
So, the final thought for you, listening in. What's the lingering question here?
I guess it's this. If India does stick with the five-bowler strategy against Australia, and potentially against England and New Zealand too, what happens if history repeats itself? What if the opposition's part-timers, the all-rounders, again manage to outperform India's own in those crucial moments? What's the real cost of sticking to your guns when the evidence suggests a potential flaw, especially when the stakes are this high?